Hello, everybody. I just wanted to talk a little bit about this Reformation focus that we have this month. I think it's super important that as we look forward to what's coming up in worship and as we look forward to what we're going to be sort of thinking about in the coming weeks, that we wrap ourselves around the Reformation. And so I kind of put together this little mini study for us that we can just go to, and people can look if they want to and comment if you want to, and we can have some discussion if people want to have discussion, since some are still kind of stuck not getting to come to church yet. Or if you just want to watch and be informed, that's okay too. So as we get started, first of all, last week we did faith alone. And I think faith alone is one of those things we talk about enough in church that probably it's not a new concept to you, that we're saved through faith and not by what we do, but rather by what God has done for us. So it's not about us and our action, it's not about our choices, but it's about what God has done for us. And that idea of faith alone isn't really a new idea. And so I kind of stacked this so that we were starting more with grace alone. And that's what this second week is about, is grace alone. So I wanted to give you a little preface before we have our worship on Sunday that might help you to understand this idea of grace alone. Sometimes we get grace and faith confused in many ways, but I want us to look at what things might be a need for grace when it comes to the church and when it comes to the Reformation specifically. And one of the biggest places where there was a need for grace was in trusting people with their own faith. So God gives us the grace to have free will, the grace to decide, and to sort of claim our faith as our faith. That doesn't mean it's our action, right? That would be a heresy of faith, of not having faith alone. It's not about our action, but it's about our ownership of our faith and having a grace that allows people to be trusted with their own faith was a big deal. Before the time of Reformation, the only thing you could believe was what you were told to believe. So nobody was allowed to have their own opinions, their own thoughts about faith. You couldn't read the Bible and interpret it. You needed to ask the priest what it all meant, and the priest would give an official answer, not necessarily an answer that the priest came up with, but an official answer that came from those who were higher up than the priest. And so there was this idea that you couldn't be trusted with your own faith, and instead other people had to spoon feed faith to you. So there was a Reformation need for there to be grace, for people to be able to have their own faith, their own hope when they were able to read Scripture. So one of the biggest problems with that, however, is that Scripture was not available to people. So nothing was in the vernacular. I posted a little earlier this week about one of our amazing reformers who, we've had so many, but many of them were martyrs as well. And I want us to think about that. A lot of us only think oh, Reformation, Martin Luther nailed some theses to a door, and everything was hunky dory after that. Dory, door, nah, maybe not. But but that's not how it went at all. And Martin Luther survived the Reformation and became a strong leader in the church, but a lot of the reformers did not survive the Reformation. And so I want you to think about what it would be like to worship when you have no idea what the words coming out of the mouth of the person who's leading worship are. If you want the experience, although I do expect everybody to be respectful if you choose to do that, go to the afternoon service. And many of us speak a little Spanish, but probably not enough to be able to understand what's going on most of the time in that service. And it's very humbling to be in a place where you're the one who doesn't know. And it really helps, I think, frame what happened during the Reformation and why it was so important for people to claim that faith and to understand what their faith meant, because they relied solely upon priests to translate everything for them. Worship happened in Latin. The scripture was given to them in Latin. They used the Vulgate. They did not use even the Hebrew and Greek translations of the Old and New Testament. They used the Latin Vulgate. So information was not readily available to people in their own language. So the Reformation brought this amazing grace to the people who were so confused and so lost and so very misled by the church.